We are back on Taking Care of Business on Kern Radio News Talk 1180. Our in-studio guests, Jeremy Staat and Wesley Barrientos.
You know, we were talking before we left about Bakersfield, and Bakersfield is really a special city. It steps up and supports people and donates to charities and nonprofit organizations more than any community I've ever lived in. And I've lived in a lot of communities around the country. Have you guys noticed that?
Oh, absolutely. One of my biggest eye-openers was just from when Wesley and I started working on this venture back in May 2011. You know, in one day, I mean, the Kern County raised $260,000 for the Wall of Valor.
Wow.
And it was just amazing to see the people come out and just support. I mean, there was, at one point, I think there was about $68,000 just in cash that people rolled by and just dumped out of their cars, you know, out of their ashtrays, and they gave it that, and it really added up really quick. And I said, man, if we could do this to honor the dead, what could we do to remember the living and to take care of them?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, it's amazing what we can do, and that's one of the things. You know, the secondary motivation behind this ride is to hopefully raise enough awareness, raise enough funds to open up our own privately owned, privately funded veteran assistance center right here in Kern County. Make it be one of the first of its kind. You know, let Kern County kind of show the rest of the nation how to take care of their veterans. And that's one of the big, you know, purposes for me in doing this, is to see how much, you know, revenue we can build, because there's some large organizations out there that are quote unquote veteran based, that they bring in a lot of money, but yet you don't ever see where it goes.
Well, you know, you're a former NFL football player. You played on 2 or 3 different teams over your span of your career. Have you talked to the NFL about any type of sponsorship?
Yeah, actually I did, and the response was that they were going to give us a plaque when we get to the Arlington Memorial Cemetery for our effort, because I wanted to join with the NFL in, you know, collaborating their 60-minute play for the youth, because that's one of the motivations too behind our ride, is to bring awareness to child obesity. And so, you know, the NFL basically said that they would meet us in Arlington with a plaque and
a plaque
and an attaboy.
So you get a breadboard from the NFL. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's nice.
But, you know, like I said, there's things that we're out there and we're trying to raise awareness about. And like I said, going back to one of these, I'm kind of, it upsets me when I think of other veterans organizations out there who claim to be all about the veterans. I mean, they raised $95 million last year, and $45 million of it went to salaries. And I go, there's something wrong with that.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
You know, if we raised $95 million, we could build 3 hospitals here in Kern County to take care of our veterans. Sure. And it just doesn't make any sense. So,
if anybody wants to sponsor the ride, the number again is 661-330-1411.
And that's any part of the ride. I mean, it could be locally, it could be ending up in Washington, or anything in between.
Oh, absolutely. You know, this thing, we're going to be out there for 100 days. So, I mean, you don't have to go into the phones right now and do it. But, I mean, while we're out there, there's going to be a live feed. We've got a live feed that's going to be available for people when they're sitting at work, like Clay, playing solitaire. Instead of playing solitaire, you can actually click on the live link and watch us ride. And, you know, people can just, if they're sitting there and they're bored and they go, you know what, hey, I got an extra $100, you know, I'm going to go ahead and sponsor a mile. Or if they got an extra $1 million or whatever they want to spend, that'd be great. You know, I mean, they've got time to do it, and you know, we'll put in the work as long as they're willing to support us.
Now, do you have a station that's going to be working with you at all, a radio station or a TV station?
We're actually working with as many as possible.
But you don't have one set up that you'll report in every day and do the Where Are They Today type segment?
None at this point. Just I think financially, the TV stations are kind of, they don't want to put forth that effort.
But one thing we're going to be doing for our listeners, we talked before the show, is we'll be checking a couple times a month, see where you guys are, and maybe talk to you or Heather, or, you know, either one of you, and give them an update and give them an opportunity to sponsor.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we are going to take rest days, so I mean, you can talk to us anytime. We will be both Jeremy and I are both active on our Facebooks and on the pages. I mean, everything. So people can interact with us. People can talk to us. So. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So if I plan this right, when I go out to the middle of the country to meet you guys, if I plan it right, I might be able to hit it on a rest day.
You might, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I don't have.
But then again, you are a Marine, so I mean, planning it's not your strong point.
Planning, what's that? We just get the job done.
Help me out here, buddy.
It's nice to have. I'm on his team.
Well, it's like,
I was Army.
It's like Chief Tucson out of Arvin PD. You know, asked us, you know, what's your plan B? He was an Army. He was an officer in the Army. And he goes, you know, I know you're Marines, but what's your plan B? And I go, plan B? There is no plan B. And he goes, that's what I thought. You Marines never have a plan B. You know, we'll adapt and overcome. So
this is it, baby.
This is, you know, it's really interesting because all 4 of us are veterans, and there's not that many veterans anymore. I mean, when you look at the total population.
Well, actually, one of the things about Kern County is that in the entire state of California, we have 2.2 million veterans. And Kern County has the highest population of veterans in the state. Wow. So we are a very proud county.
City.
And yeah, absolutely. And we're always there. So
how many
we're never run out.
How many names are on the Wall of Valor here in Bakersfield?
It should be 1,012, right?
These are all deceased soldiers, right?
Yes, killed in action or missing in action since World War I.
Now, you have a couple of local organizations that sponsor veterans benefits and different fundraising events that I think you work with before or will be working with.
Yes. Well, I have worked with the Wounded Heroes Fund. I'm still an active member of the board of directors for the Wounded Heroes Fund. And this is the thing. We don't differentiate from one or the other. We all want to unite. And the Wounded Heroes Fund, they're great. And I love being part of the Wounded Heroes Fund. And I love being part of the Jeremy Staat Foundation. And I give both organizations my best. So, I mean, it's not differentiating one from the other. I love both equally.
Well,
we're having a conversation with Jeremy Staat and Wesley Barrentos.
I noticed that there's national organizations similar to the Wounded Warriors that come in looking for money all the time, and I try whenever I make a donation to donate to the local organizations. And I think that's what we need to do as a community, support what we have here. And then once we have this settled and moving forward, then put our fingers out to other organizations nationally.
Well, absolutely. It's for me, I'm always thinking, hey, we got to fix the things in our own backyard before we can go out run in the neighborhood. I mean, the thing about it is we love to point out and show, live other people's lives, but we don't live the life right here. I mean, that's kind of one of the things why reality TV is so huge is people want to live everybody else's life, but they forget to live their own. And that's one thing we want to do here in Kern County is make sure that we take care of our own here. I mean, we've got the highest populace in the state of California right here in Kern County. We've got 2 or 3 different military bases that are within, hour and a half away from us, but yet we've only got one clinic here in Kern County that is supposed to be able to assist all these different veterans, and they're just overrun. I mean, right now they're so far behind that guys, it takes 6 to 8 months for these guys to get in to see a doctor, and it's like that's on stat. I mean, if we can get it to the point where we can build our own privately owned and stuff and take care of our guys, that's exactly what we're trying to do. I mean, there's no reason for us to go outside of Kern County to donate to any other cause except for our own right here in Kern County.
Yeah, no question about it. When you were talking about the reasons for doing the ride, one of the things I think, Jeremy, you posted on Facebook, it just made me angry, and the more I think about it, the madder it makes me, and that's veteran suicide. You figure in the hour it takes us to do this show, probably 2 veterans will have committed suicide. That's atrocious. Well,
right now, and that's just out of the 17 states that reports it. So every 18 minutes, a veteran attempts suicide, which is the highest it's ever been. Right now, we've actually spilt more veteran blood here in the United States than we have in Iraq and Afghanistan combined. Out of the Vietnam conflict era veterans, we've lost over 168,000 due to suicide, and it's just unset. Nobody's doing anything about it. The guys, we have no advocacy in D.C. They're all too worried about lining their own pockets, and they're not taking care of those who they've actually put in harm's way. Because at the end of the day, we the veterans that start the wars, we're just the ones that signed up and were promised that we were going to be taken care of by the federal government, and now they're not holding their end of the bargain. And so, with veteran suicide skyrocketing, we got a lot more guys that are coming home as Iraq and Afghanistan wind down. So we're going to get a lot more veterans coming home, and that statistics is only going to go up.
You see, that's a scary statistic. What can we do about that number?
Well, the biggest thing, what we're trying to do is try to get more peer-to-peer counseling going on. My big thing is that, how many guys, if in the middle of the moment, are going to call a 1-800 number to talk to some stranger. We got to start taking care of our own, and that just gets back to taking care of our own backyard before going out. We need to start, as veterans, we need to come together, pull together, and bring us all together. Not under, at the different posts or anything like that where we're drinking and stuff like that. I think the alcohol only escalates the problem. Mm-hmm. But really take care of these guys and sit them down and say, hey, what do you need? I'm not going to buy you a beer for your service, but what do you need? Right. Exactly. Go ahead.
Well, being myself, I receive those calls that Jeremy talks about all the time. My guys, we've gone through a lot of things. We did one deployment, we called it the deployment from hell in 05 to 06, and a lot of those guys call me all the time just to for advice or just to come wind down, because sometimes they do go out there and they do confront those people and they just can't take it, and they're about to do something bad. So and they'll we're not that type of people. We'll never call 1-800 number. We'll call whoever before we call one of those numbers, and that's just it.
Veterans Day, we did an interview with a gentleman named Carl Marlantos, and he wrote a book entitled What It's Like to Go to War. Fantastic book. He was a Rhodes Scholar, went to Vietnam, was a captain he was a grunt, and his whole premise is there isn't enough time to really wind people down when they come back from a combat situation, especially in your era, because you could be in a combat situation at 9 o'clock and be on a cell phone with your sweetheart at 3 o'clock. So there's no wind down time, and he talks about how that encourages the problem that we have with veterans trying to cope with society.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is that most of the time we are out there in the middle of things, and we try to comfort people back home, but sometimes we don't know how to do that. We don't know how to express our feelings, how to calm people things down. So I mean, a lot of things happen, and then you get those bad news from home and stuff like that. So that even adds more to the stress.
Sure.
I had a buddy of mine who committed suicide in 2005 in combat in Iraq, and it's just something that has marked my life forever, and something that I'll never forget. And this is why I decided to join a lot of the stuff that I do with Jeremy.
Yeah. We'll be back in a moment on Taking Care of Business on Current Radio News Talk 1180.